I built a 350,000 a month business and then it failed. I lost it all. And 2025 was by far the hardest year that I've gone through. And looking back on it, I definitely shouldn't have built it the way I did. And I honestly like look at it with a lot of regret, but I know that I'm here making this video for a reason. Um, so what I want to share with you is exactly what happened, how it happened, where I am today, and what's next, I guess. So just to catch you up to speed, I this is probably going to be the hardest video that I make. So in 2022 or 2020, yeah, 2022, I started my first business and went off on my own, got into doing insurance and insurance sales and did a lot. I mean, I got married at 20, got into the industry a few months after I got married and started selling insurance. And I was sold on the dream of, hey, you can make a lot of money. You can make 30 to 50,000 a month. And I just wanted to make 10,000. So like even thinking about these bigger numbers was like crazy. And so I started selling and then did really well. I figured out how to Facebook market. I figured out exactly how to actually like generate good quality leads at a low cost, and I knew how to sell. Um, and so what I did was I launched a marketing consulting offer. And so what I did was I would help insurance agents grow their business, and I would help insurance agents essentially bring down their lead costs, not have to buy leads anymore, and generate them themselves. And so what we did was after a few years of actually like selling it myself, I ended up teaching other people to do it with the consulting offer and doing it as it was a done for you, done with you type model. And so our ticket price was anywhere between, it started at 6,000, then it got to 8,000, sold some at 10,000. And that was really good. That was the best year of my life in 2024. And so going into that, like we had maybe one out of all the months running that were profitable. There's one that wasn't. And that was tough. But I mean, netted a lot, a few $100,000, which was nice. And so the biggest thing was not having a continuity offer. And so essentially, my business partner and I were thinking, okay, let's go in and go full-fledged agency and go completely done for you, where we're not only just teaching them how to do it, but essentially we take all the risk on. And this is kind of where the mistakes started happening. And this was like, I made the best decision at the time with all the information that I was given. But looking back, I just wish I never would have done it. So essentially, I took all these agents in, and it was an offer that pretty much anybody could join. And so we would give them free leads. We would pay for Facebook advertising. We would pay for the leads. They just essentially, like we would make money only when they make money. So we spend all this money, grew this sales team up. There's 55 active agents at the peak of this like 350K that were on our team that were taking from these free leads that we were giving them. And that was kind of the marketing message, is like, hey, it's going to be like, we are going to take all the risk. So we only succeed if you succeed. And so built this team up, and literally like just it all it all failed. And so I just want to share like some of the lessons that I learned, but just to be fully honest, like it just sucks. Like the self-doubt that I've had in my head going from doing 100K a month in my other business to like building this thing up and then failing and doing multiple hundreds of thousands a month and having a big team, and like it was just crazy. But it was so stressful. Like I literally did not, I hated every second of it. And I wanted to get these outsized returns, but like it just was not the right vehicle. Looking back on it, I'm like, why did I even do that? But I was like, okay, we're going to have a massive payout if we can. Essentially, the pitch was, hey, if you give these free leads, you can own the book of business. And then after year one, you just have to make it through year one. But after you get out of year one, you're going to start having all these renewals coming in and just make a lot of money and be doing a few $100,000 a month just from renewals, and then not even acquiring new clients. And so that was really attractive. But I had to bet like literally everything on it. And so it's interesting because going into 2025, I told my wife, and I was like, I don't want this to happen, but like I feel like this is gonna be one of the hardest year that I've ever gone through. And what's crazy is it actually happened. And so I think that I've had to struggle with like I've been struggling with these self-confidence issues, because it's like, okay, you're doing all this volume, you were actually really successful. I was like, it felt like we were just printing money, and then we got into this, and like we started losing money. We lost like $30,000 in a month, and then we just kept losing money like month after month after month, and we just could not continue to sustain the business. And so the original promise is, hey, we're going to generate all the leads for you. I'm going to, so that's what my business partner was going to do. I was going to market, or sorry, he was going to market. I was going to teach him sales and essentially ops. So I built out the whole onboarding process. We took a lot of what I learned in the coaching business, because I scaled myself completely out of fulfillment to where I was only on one group call a month or a week, and actually got it to where it was like bi-weekly, which was nice. So every other week I'd hop on, but we had like coaches in there. We had a client success manager, appointment setter, closer in there. It was really solid. And then taking it into this next business, I was completely out of fulfillment except training the top 10 guys, and we would just have what we called sales team 6. And so that's all I was doing. I was just doing sales training all day. And then I would also sell a little bit because we were spending a lot on leads. Like we were spending at our peak, I think like $80 to $85,000 in 1 month on ads. And so that was nice. Like, okay, how can we spend? Like that was almost $3,000 a day that we were spending. And the Amex charges were multiple times a day. Boom, 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 boom. Just constantly getting hit with it. But like every single day was so stressful. Like I actually hated it, and it was one of those things. It's like either we're gonna ride this through, and essentially like right when we decided to take the bet early in 2025, in January, was like, okay, let's start counting down to 12 months to where we start getting these renewals, and we could actually feel like there's some breath coming in, but like, or air coming in, and we can actually breathe. But it was tough. And so I've had to go through these confidence things, trying to figure out like, dang, how do I come to a resolution with that? But also, how do I learn from these mistakes? Luckily, the only thing that I could be grateful for is that I'm 24 and I can learn now, but it's not fun. And so I think a few of the lessons that I want to share with you so that you could just take the lessons without the scars, is number one, like just not risking everything to get something. And what I mean by that is you can risk it all and risk 10 grand and be willing to and be okay losing it. But when you're in a model where you can spend a lot of money on marketing, and yeah, there's some chargebacks, but like you're getting wrecked over and over and over again because we pay out sales commissions, we pay out all these things, and then I'm the one holding the bag. I'm the one holding the debt at the end of the day. It just doesn't make sense. And so the whole goal was to build massive recurring revenue, but more importantly, like we wanted to be able to exit one day. And so we thought that this was the best way to build enterprise value so that in 3, 5, 7 years we could be able to sell. But 3 to 5 years is actually a long time in the day to day. And so like every single day, literally hating that did this and wishing that I could go back when I'm 2 months in, 3 months in, because of how cash flow constraining it was. Like it was, yeah, it was not good. So like I took way too much risk. And obviously like the reward would have been massive, but it just wasn't smart. Like I wasn't in the spot to be able to do that. And I thought that I was, but it was stupid, to do that. So I think one of the first lesson that I want to share is just taking calculated strategic risks, but understand the opportunities at play. And so it kind of leads me into my second thing, that cash flow is absolutely king. And so as I continue to evaluate different situations, I understand that there may be like a delay in making money, but I'm not going to delay cash flow today so that I can exit in the future. Like that, just the probability of something exiting is very, very low. But then also a lot of those companies are actually profitable throughout those times. And so instead of like building up to where I wait for this massive exit and I have to risk all the time, and I am not making money along the way, like that, I don't know, like that just doesn't, I'm not in that spot, and I don't want to be. And so the beauty of the online business, and I experienced this in 2024 2024 was being able to just sell an amazing offer to clients, and they happily transact with you, and they're happy, and it's a very cash flow heavy business, which is amazing. And so I moving forward, like that's how I'm building the business. It's not going to be crazy risk. It's not to be, hey, I'm going to get to $1 million a month on 5% margins. It's going to be, how do I cash flow continuously so I can continue to reinvest, because reinvesting in the business is the best investment that you can make. But more importantly is making just being calculated with it and taking cash off the table. So like having my minimum that I need to be making on a month to month basis, having a bunch of cash in the bank, and then being able to go and continue on from there. And so that's one of the things, like cash flow is absolutely king. And the business doesn't have to suck, right? Like I think I was playing such a finite game, and I think that's why we scaled so quickly, was because we're like, hey, we need to be at $1 million a month by August, and $1 million a month by the end of the year, and $1 million a month a year into the business, and beat everybody and do something that's unheard of. But that's a finite game. When you play finite games, you sacrifice the long term for the short term. And so the more that you play this game, the more finite that you play. And so essentially it turned into trying to figure out how to solve these 30-day cash flow problems when we're bleeding all this money. How do we actually pick ourselves up to be able to grow? And so it led to a bunch of different things, like investing into a really expensive dialer system for our team. And then it got to the point where it's like 6 months in, we're 55 agents on, it's 250 to 300 bucks per head per person. So we're looking at 15 to 20 grand just in dialer expenses plus ad costs, which we're spending 20 to 30 grand a month on. So now our fixed expenses without sales commissions, which we're giving 50% of the revenue to these sales agents. So like our margins were squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. So then whenever we'd get a chargeback, we would get wrecked as the owners and as the owner of it. And so that was terrible. And so looking at it as an infinite game, a cash flow heavy business that I enjoy working with, and not that I'm realizing that I don't have to absolutely hate it. Yeah, there's going to be sacrifice, but like at a certain point when you completely resent the business you're in, just like anything, you tend to, and what I did was I tried to just move away from it more, and I tried to like, this is terrible. And then the worst part is that I went on this long vacation, or not vacation, but like a trip to Europe for my wife's graduation. She graduated with her master's, go on that trip, and all I'm thinking about is not going bankrupt. And I had to work through this thought process, but that's all that I was thinking about, is like, how do I every single day checking how much are we going to get charged today? And what's going to go wrong today? And it just trained me to be such a negative person, just overall, not just the thought process, but that's just kind of how it came to be. And so that's one of the other things, you know? So, so cash flow is king. Don't bet the farm. Don't risk everything. Don't bet everything on trying to make it work. Like, yes, there's a lot that you should risk, but at a certain point, it's not worth it to risk everything and go way negative in the hole. And so the upside was not worth the downside, looking back in hindsight from it. And if I were to go back, what I would have done is I would have just reiterated the offer and maybe go into a different industry where the TAM wasn't so small, or change up the money model. But I think what I can say is I'm look back on it extremely grateful for what I was able to go through. Not only just because I can share it with you now, but I think that every single person that's extremely successful goes through a period like this where they absolutely just get kicked in the nuts and kicked in the teeth over and over and over and over again. But they stay resilient. And they stand up and they keep going and they build momentum and they stack small wins and so on and so forth. And so I think like that was the wrong vehicle, the wrong avatar, wrong vehicle to take everything that I learned scaling up to 55 agents, doing $350,000 a month. Like that was not smart and not a good way to take the skill sets of sales, of marketing, of content. All the people came from my personal brand. We recruited and brought in like 100 people and sold 250 people the year before into our program, all from my personal brand. And so I've taken the branding stuff that I've learned, the paid advertising stuff that I've learned, the sales knowledge that I've learned, the building the team, spending $80,000 to $90,000 a month on ads, like taking all of this now and deploying it into the next opportunity. And that's what I'm so excited about. Like it all came to a close. I completely shut it down and I was like, you know what? I'm moving past that. I'm going to bear the consequences that I have to take now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the skills, all the lessons, everything that I've done up until this point, all the mistakes, all the failures, or the failure of this, and I'm going to take, the nice thing is I didn't lose my skills. I didn't lose the ability to learn how to market and the money models and the charging up front and charging 10, 15, 20 grand up front and how to actually market and how to brand and how to all these different things and all these skills is taking me into the next opportunity that I can have a high cash flow business, but also a very extremely high impact business to other business owners so that they don't have to go through this. It's like what I'm thinking about launching, and brought on a few clients recently just because they've seen and they know exactly my story, but they're like, dude, you're sharp. You know what you're talking about. I want to bring you on internally to be able to either consult with brands or help with growing their ads and funnels and doing that for them and giving consulting of like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and taking all that I've learned to the next opportunity, which is very high impact and very high margin. And for me to be able to use my skills of sales and marketing to go into a business and they're stuck at 50,000, 100,000, 300,000 a month. And how do I get to the next level? Well, now I can take what I've learned. And even though I haven't hit maybe some of those levels of $1 million a month, take what I've learned at the 300,000 a month range. And how do we actually scale this to where we're not out of business in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, but we can play an infinite game, take cash off the table, feed our families, and make a lot of money just because, I mean, that's why we got into the business in the first place. That's why we started a business in the first place, to have freedom and not to be chained to your desk all the time or taking calls all the time. And so now I'm excited to take all these lessons and everything that I've learned and all the 50,000 sales call or 50,000 calls that I've made and dials that I've made, and taking collecting $1 million in cash collected, taking all these things just from my personal offer, taking all this plus us scaling this business that I did and how it failed, and taking all of it to take into other businesses and helping out with whatever pain points. Maybe they have a dialed in sales team, but helping them specifically with the marketing side and helping them make sure that they have a really solid book a call funnel and highly qualified people showing up to the calendar and owning the whole process from click to close, and being able to import a lot of my expertise and knowledge, but not just on a consulting basis, but actually just doing it for them so that they could be able to scale and double or triple their business. And taking this agency that I just got hired into that's at 50,000 a month, they're stuck in fulfillment. How do you scale to the next level? Well, that's exactly the bottleneck that I went through in my other business, and we were able to scale to 100K a month. And taking that specific knowledge and putting in the right people to be able to scale out of fulfillment, now we can crank the front end because fulfillment is absolutely dialed in. Taking all this from start to finish, even on the sales side, being able to train a setter and wake up to really solid appointments, being able to train up and work hand in hand with a media buyer, work hand in hand with a content or creative director. These are all things that I've done. And so maybe, I'm not on the face of it, and you're seeing this video, but being able to help scale other businesses and other agencies and other businesses like that excites me. But I didn't get to this spot just in one day. It took a while. It took me thinking maybe I just need to go get a job. Maybe I need to work at Starbucks. Maybe I need to just call it quits. Maybe this is the sign that this wasn't for me, but I had to have a wake-up call when I had two different people talk to me. It was back to back, and they were like, dude, what? Because I thought about not drop shipping. I thought about maybe I do health insurance. Maybe I do digital products and be like a Danco, or maybe do all this stuff. And it's like, why would you do something like that when you have the skills and you've actually done and you've changed your family's life, or you've been able to buy a house at 23 years old, do all these things? Why don't you just use that and implement that into other people's businesses? And I was like, whoa. And so that happened, helping a creator that was wanting to grow their business from 20 to 30 grand a month to 100K a month, talking to somebody like him, and then him telling me that, and then another one that stuck at 40 to 50,000 a month wanting to scale to 100. It was back to back, and I was like, okay, I think this is exactly what I think I need to do. Is I need to help other business owners come in there and essentially help them out with whatever that they may need. Maybe their sales is lacking, maybe their marketing's lacking, maybe their fulfillment's not in, or maybe they haven't scaled themselves out of fulfillment, or maybe they don't know how to build their personal brand. And so being able to consult and also do specific things for them and leverage the relationships that I have with editors, with thumbnail designers, so on and so forth. And so I'm excited about this next chapter, and I'm going to continue documenting this journey because it hasn't been an easy journey. And thinking that this year I may be working at a job and just going and kind of giving up, it's those different things that it just makes you question so much. And I want to leave you with this. I was, right now it's January 5th, and coming into this year, it was like the second to last day of the year. And one of the mindset coaches that was working with me was like, what would it look like for this year to be complete? And to complete means done. It is finished. It's over. And you're moving on. And how can you go into 2026 with 2025 complete? And I was just struggling. Like, I am nervous. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know what consequence I'm gonna have to live with because of this business and it failing, and who may be pursuing when. It's like that was mentally playing in me, and then also beating myself up for taking the risk in the first place. And I think that the thing that he helped me out with was understanding that everybody that is anybody, everybody messes up. Everybody makes mistakes. And me beating myself up and bullying myself and saying like, dude, you're stupid, you're dumb, why'd you do that, you're making dumb decisions, like a year, like talking to myself like that about decisions that I made a year ago with the best sources of information that I had back then, is not going to serve me now. All I can do is look forward. And there's such a good analogy that if you live life looking in the rear view mirror, you're bound to get into an accident. You're bound to not be able to get to the destination you're looking to get to. You have to decide to stop looking in the rear view mirror and start looking through the windshield so you can actually get to where you're trying to go. And so maybe you've been stuck just like me. Maybe you've experienced failures just like me, but get up, keep going, build momentum. And so I feel like I'm actually starting to get into a flow of things within this, and landing almost 3 clients, just starting this business about two weeks ago, give or take, to implement, or 3 to 4 actually, to be able to implement my expertise and knowledge and helping other people with parts of their business that they may be struggling with, or taking it off their plate so that they can do what they're best at and live in their zone of genius. Like, it's taken a lot of time and a lot of mental work and a lot of just journaling and praying and understanding, like, what, God, I know you're faithful, but like, where is it in here? Why am I going through this type of stuff? Like, I wish I would have known before. But it's this constant refinement that will allow me to build the next thing proper and build the next thing, not trying to scale so quickly, but being able to do it properly from the first time so I don't have to learn this mistake again. Being able to cash flow well, being able to take calculated risk, and not being gun shy, taking the risks and opportunities when they present themselves, and going all in, but at the same time, like, yeah, not being gun shy, but at the same time, like, just being smart and strategic about how I do things. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I'd love if you follow along on the journey, as I'm going to continue making videos like these. If you resonate with any of it, drop in the comments down below. I respond to every single comment. Follow me on Instagram, subscribe here, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. I was putting in my voice notes, 2026 is going to be the best year of my life. I just know it. I know it. And there's different opportunities and different feelings that you get that, hey, I was right last year. I'm going to be right this year too. And so my goal is to do $1 million in revenue, net over 50 of it, have the biggest year personally of my career, and make $500,000. On the low end, 360, which would still be my best. 360 in net profit and maybe 500K net profit. That would be amazing. 7-figure year in revenue, and really grow the organic and grow the personal brand and help businesses and take on really solid partners to be able to continue to grow. So follow me along on the journey. Appreciate you watching all the way to this spot. If you've watched all the way to this spot, insanely appreciate you. Let's take this thing to the next level. So, all right, chat soon. Peace.